Alright guys, so today on the table I have the Vestax PMC 06 Pro A. If you've been in this DJing scene for quite a while, or even if you haven't, but you've done your research, you guys know all about the Vestax brand and what they put out and how they kind of revolutionized the mixer game. But anyway, this is the 06 Pro of all of the Pro Series mixers. They had the 05 Pro, 06 Pro, 07 Pro, then it went to the 08 Pro, which was a digital mixer. This is before they got to the digital stuff, the Samurai stuff, all that stuff. Pretty basic mixer, 2-channel. It has, you know, your crossfader, volumes, phono line switches, your EQs here. You have your crossfader, curve, reverse, master. So it was a cool little 2-channel mixer, very compact, which was nice. The only thing that it was missing that the other mixers had, especially the 07 Pro, it had a master Q switch. So if that meant is you could actually hook up the mixer, hook up your headphones, then you know you could actually scratch in your headphones. So if it was late at night and you didn't want to wake anybody up. But anyway, it doesn't have that, so we're gonna mod this mixer here to have that master Q switch. So I just want to say thanks to my buddy Archive, and thanks for hitting me up and giving me the schematics to actually get this done. Let's get right into it, guys, and we'll get it going. To get the 06 open, there are some screws. There's 2 screws on the sides, each side. So there's a 4, and then there's 2 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. I already removed those. Cool thing about this is it just kind of pulls off. Okay. Once you remove those screws, so it's pretty easy access to the back of the mixer. Now what you're going to need is you're going to need to get one of these little guys. This is a 12-pin double throw switch. So you'll definitely need one of these. I got this off of eBay for a couple of bucks, and I'll put the link in the description below of where I got it. But you'll definitely need one of these. Of course, you're gonna need soldering iron, some wire, shrink tubing. I definitely recommend, and we'll go from there. So what we need to do first is wire up the switch. Take the 2 inputs. So these are your volume inputs here, coming off of the master. So these are your program inputs here, okay? And these plugs, this guy here and this guy here, are going to be running to this board here, down at the bottom, right here, okay? So what we need to do is we need to connect those to this switch, and we're going to put it on the top row here, but when it's flipped over it'll be the bottom row, but for now we're going to call it the top row. So we need to take these 2 wires and these 2 wires from this plug and wire them up directly to this switch, okay? Then from there what we're going to do is we're going to take another set of wires on the second row, okay, and we're going to take these 2 and these 2, and we're going to run those wires directly back to the contacts on the board here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So those contacts right there on the board. So we're going to have to remove these wires here and then solder some new wires in the spot of those old wires, okay? Once that's done, we're gonna take the last row, we're gonna take some more wires, and we're gonna take these 2 pins and these 2 pins. We're gonna do a little jumper, and then we're gonna run wire to the master out, and we're gonna run it to, there's 2 pins, 2 resistors, R61 and R62 on this board, and we're gonna run 2 wires going into that board as well, so you'll be able to scratch inside the headphones, okay? So let's get that going. We will definitely need to drill a hole. So we're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna mount this. To do this the right way, we're gonna have to remove the boards from the mixer, just so that we can desolder. I mean, we can keep it in there and go that route as well. We just need to make sure that when we are desoldering this stuff, that we do it the right way. If you really want to, you can cut the wires, and then you could basically run those other wires to the back of these contacts here if you don't want to desolder. That might make it a little easier, so you don't have to worry about tearing up the board or anything like that. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to get these pins on the throw switch. We're going to get those ready to be soldered. So we're going to put a little bit of solder right here, just enough, and then a little bit here, a little here, and a little here. Okay, you can run the wires through these little holes as well. Alright, so now that all of those have solder on them, these pins are ready to go. Okay, so which way am I going to do this? I'm going to see if I can successfully desolder these. So I'm gonna have to remove this for now, get that out of the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to remember that this wire, let's see if we follow this down. So the one closest to the top of the mixer, that's going to be program 2. Okay, so we can mark that. So this is 2, this is 1. Then I'll just put little hash marks here, 1, 2, and then just put 1 hash mark there, 1. Okay, just like that. So now we know. I'm going to try and desolder this. So I'm definitely going to be taking some desoldering wick. Again, like I said, if you really wanted to, you could cut these wires out, cut them out, leave these here, and then just run the new wires directly to these pads back here, which, like I said, would be easier. Now for desoldering, I strongly recommend that you pick some of this up. It's actually called desoldering wick. It's copper wire that's braided, and it's infused with flux as well. So we can actually put that on these pads with a little bit of heat, and then what it should do is just take the solder directly off of the board here. This right here is flux. Flux is basically just going to help you take this stuff off the boards. So we'll see how easy it comes off with this stuff. Like I said, you don't have to add that. It does make it a little easier, or at least it should make it easier to get this stuff off of here. Okay, we're gonna clean off the tip here. We can put a little bit of solder on the tip here. Boom, boom. And that will kind of help. So as you can see, as soon as you put heat on the board, it starts to basically remove the solder from the board. These wires should just pull out. Look at that. Okay, so as you can see, it removed that wire pretty easily, or the solder off the board pretty easily. There might be a little bit of hot glue holding those in, but there we go. And then it's basically just the hot glue that's holding that in place. Okay, so that worked really well. So let's put a little bit more flux on here. This stuff is a lifesaver, man, seriously. If you put too much heat on the board, You can damage the board, you can pull the traces off the board, and it's not good. Okay, so here we go again. We're just gonna put the heat on here, and boom, you can see it going up the braid. And one more time, bam, going up the braid, and those are off. Yep, look at that. Boom, so there's two. And it's just glue holding this in. One, okay. All right. So again, what's gonna end up happening with these is two's gonna go here, one's gonna go here, okay, just like that. And we'll solder those in. We could use a little bit of shrink tubing as well. Remember to mark these other ones too. One, and let's mark this one as 2 as well, 2. Okay, so we don't switch them up. Because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up shrink tubing these wires on. So, okay. So now we got these wires free. Now what we need to see is if where we're going to mount this, are these wires going to reach? You might have to pull these out. Even if you have to rerun these wires, you should be okay. You just need to free them up a little bit here. See, so now that's gonna make that more than long enough. And number 2, we're gonna do the same thing. Pull 1 out, 2 out. And that should make that long enough. Sweet. So again, like I said, remember it's these 2 plugs here. These are the ones that we're desoldering from this signal board here. Okay. So now we are going to run wires. We got to run wires back to these contacts here. Okay, so we're going to do it this way. So program 1 is going to be right here, and program 2 is going to be right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep it the same. We'll have program 1 here underneath, program 2 here on the second row underneath. Okay, 1 and 2. So we need to solder some wire on that, and that is what we're gonna do right now. Get some shrink tubing. Just gonna cut some of this stuff here. Boom. And the second row, we got to wire that up to the output board here. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, all right guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use, I don't have white wire unfortunately, so I'm gonna use red and I'm gonna use blue for my other wires. So anyway, we're gonna take the second row here. So it would be white, red. So for me, it's gonna be blue, red because of my wiring options right now. So just gonna cut some wire Probably won't need too long of a wire, but we can always trim it. What we need to do is we need to strip that wire. So if you don't have a wire stripper, you can basically just take a razor blade and then just kind of roll it to expose the wire, and then you just pull it like that. I do have, so I'm going to use what I have because it'll make it faster for me. Okay, so here, pull, and then we're gonna twist. Okay, then again we're gonna take some shrink tubing, cut a little bit of that, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of solder on these exposed wires here. This is pretty simple to do. Just going to take a little bit of solder. Touch the tip there, just like that. Okay, now this might be a little tricky, but we're just gonna put that over the top like that. Now if you notice that the wire is a little too long there and it's kind of poking out, like this is really long, okay, we're gonna cut a little bit of that off. So just a smidge, boom, just like that. Okay, now take this, put a little more solder. I would say this is probably going to be the trickiest part, is just soldering these wires directly to these pins, but really honestly it's not going to be that hard. Boom. So all of those are connected now. Okay. So now what we can do is thread all of the shrink tubing. That's how that's gonna look. Okay. And then we have the last row. Okay, so the bottom row here, we're gonna deal with that next. So let's just get enough wire so that, you know, we have enough to run it to the other board. Okay, and then I'll show you exactly where we need to solder directly onto that other board. Same process, we're going to strip the wire, strip the wire, so again, wire strip, okay, and then we're gonna just get enough wire. So like I said, you can always cut more off, but you can't add it back on. So I cut it a little longer than we need. That's not a problem. Okay. So that's probably about a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches, maybe more, but that's okay. That's what we kind of want right now. What we need to do is we need to make a little jumper coming off of this wire to jump it to this pin. Is to take this wire, and then we're gonna twist tie it to this wire here, okay, before we put solder on it. So it'll look like that. Okay, now we can actually put a little bit of solder here. Okay, just like that. So doing it this way, this is probably when you're going to want to solder, instead of soldering on, you know, in the middle here, you're going to solder right here on the other side, so it'll just make it easier. So you don't burn any of the wires or anything like that. Everything's out of the way. Okay, now that we have both of these soldered, now we can take this wire, and like I said, we got to make that jumper, so it'll go like that. Okay, so there's your jumper. Now you might want to make it a little longer. You're going to want to shrink tube this side as well, so you're going to need a little bit of that extra wire to put that shrink tube so that it, you know, looks cleaner. So let's see how much of this we're gonna cut off here. So let's do that one. I'm gonna put that jumper just like that. Okay, so now we can cut this one. Cut some shrink tubing here. Right to here. That. That will go here. Try to touch the pin. Just like that. Let it cool down a little bit. Okay. So we got to cut another wire. Twist these two together. Like that. Now both of those are connected. Now this one is going to go to the outer pin. Okay, so that's going to go here, and then this one is going to go inside here. So what we're going to end up doing is we're actually going to make this a little easier on ourselves. Okay, so that's how that's gonna look, just like that. Okay, now again, like I said, we're gonna make this a little easier. We're gonna go with this pin first on the inside. Just like that. And then this one here. Just like that. Okay. There and there. Okay, so that's how that's gonna look. Alright guys, so let's wire these in. So again, the way we've decided to do this is this one is gonna be our 1, and then this one is going to be our program 2. Okay, and again we're gonna go blue, which is my white, and red, which is my, well, of course, my red. So let's get that in. I got the wires in right here. Boom, boom, boom. Now we're just going to add a little bit of solder here. Just like that. This one here. Just like that. Those are soldered in. Okay. Now you just have to solder in the other side. Now we can just add a little more. There we go. Just like that. So now you can see I got the wires wired up here, and it's going directly to the middle pins. Okay, so that one's done. We can put this back. All right, so let's wire up these bottom ones here. Okay, so there's those. You can put the shrink tubing over all of these for now. Just like that. The last thing I have to wire up is the bottom ones to the main board. And like I said, that's going to be R61 and R62 on the board. So let me show you how that goes. Easiest way to do that is we're going to have to take the board out. I mean, it'd just be quicker. So same thing, just take some needle nose pliers and just give it a easy little turn. Just be careful not to go too deep because you don't want to scratch the paint. But 1, 2, and then this will just come out. There we go. And then we just got to move this board out. If we flip it over, if you wanted to, you can disconnect these. So let's do that. We can mark it up. You know me, I like to mark things up. So that's gonna be 1, then 1, it'll be 2, 2, and 3, and 3. So now I know where all of these go, and it'll just be easier for me to flip this board if need be. Okay. All right, now if you're looking, you can kind of see all these little numbers here. Okay. We're looking for R62 and R61, which is going to be right here. R62 and R61. No, that goes to the crossfader. Okay, so you can pull that off too. R62 and R61. All right. And those are going to be where the last 2 wires are going to connect. Alright, so they're going to connect right here. Alright, on the side closest to this little capacitor. So C57, you're going to connect the wires here and here. Alright, and we can do it 2 ways. We could either try and just solder them directly to the resistor here, 1 and 2, like that and like that, boom, boom. Or we can go from the back if we know where we're at, and then solder 1 and 2 on the back. So I will leave that up to you, however you want to do it. We can actually just do a little shortcut underneath like this, and then come to the back side, and then we can solder directly to the back side. So 61 and 62, if you're looking, so here's that little pad here, that's there. You're gonna go right here, 61 and 62, 1, 2. Okay, so we'll go 1 here, and then we'll go the next one here. Boom. And you'll be done there. Alright guys, so I'm going to take a little bit of shrink tubing here, and I'm going to put it over this, like this. Okay. And now we can get these soldered on. Remember, we're going to go right here, and right here. Okay, so we're gonna go red. Alright guys, so I got it soldered on right here to the contacts there. There's R62 and R61, and you flip it over, solder to those two sides there, and boom, that's it. Should be good to go. So now all we got to do is put it all back together. Probably put a little bit of hot glue on here once I verify that it works, and go from there. Alright guys, so now it's time to drill the hole. So everything on this thing is working, which is great. I tested it out and it worked perfectly fine, so that's good news. And basically now what I got to do is I just got to drill a hole here in the front. I think I want to do it somewhere around in this area here. So first I'm going to make a little pilot hole, and then I'll get a bigger drill bit from there. So let's see here. So I'm going to try to just eye this the best I can. So let's go about right. There, I guess. Alright, so this should be enough. Let's see. I might have to turn this, but that's okay. It should still fit, which it does. And now it'll just be a left to right toggle instead of an up and down toggle, but that's not a big deal. It still works. So that's fine. Just gonna get the shrink tubing on. Okay, so got the switch in. I actually zip tied a few wires. Got the wires all shrink wrapped, and got everything where it's supposed to be. It's all solid. all connected. So now all we got to do is put it all back together and show you the demo and show you that it's working. Got it all hooked up here, and let's give it a shot. Turn it on. So hit the monitor so you can hear the sound coming through, but no crossfader. Okay, we're gonna hit the switch. Now crossfader. Alright guys, so there it is. Modification is finished. The Master Q toggle switch is done. So hopefully this video helps you all out. Keep in mind this is for the 06 Pro A. It's not for the newer version of the 06 Pro, which was the 06 Pro VCA. So this is for the 06 Pro A. Okay. There again, like I said, thanks for watching the video, and yeah, hopefully this video helps you guys. Peace for now.